Hey y'all, it's Chimdi. So listen, if you were like me, you had a job that was not aligned for you, maybe you hated it, came to the point of your life where you said, F that job, you get up on out of there. I can't start with middle fingers up. I gotta clean this up. Let's start this from the beginning. Hey y'all, it's Chimdi. Someone asked me in my comment section, what advice do you give for people who have quit a job and they have to figure out how to manage all this time now that they're free? And I was like, I'll be more than happy to respond to your request and make a video on that topic. Because I know what it's like. You know, you've got this job, you're spending a lot of time doing it. Maybe you're spending so much time that you don't even have that time after to lean into and pour into the creative things that you really want to do. So you're feeling burnt out and you're finally like, okay, enough is enough. You quit the job and then you go from having no time to having all of the time in the world, this endless, ceaseless expanse of time and space, and you're freaking out. So this is what I would give myself as advice if I could go back to young Chimdi, as precious as she is. I literally made young Chimdi the background to my phone. Young Chimdi, she's so precious. I also am recording this on Monday before this video goes live on Tuesday because I live on the edge. And arguably I manage my time well because I know I can do this, get it done, and it's gonna be a gorgeous video and I'm not worried about it. Before we get into all that, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. You can join me on the Patreon at patreon.com/Chimdi. What I'm gonna give y'all is the advice that I give myself. Like I said, if you want more specific one-on-one support, coaching, feedback, I offer that as well. You can either do one-on-one Q&A calls with me, or you can do one-on-one coaching if you want more longer term support. Both those things are below. Patreon people get a free extra 1-hour coaching call when they sign up. Shall we begin? Okay, so my first piece of advice that I would give young Chimdi, and I would give you, viewer who asked about this, is to just accept the fact that you have gone from having no time to all the time, and it's gonna take you some time to figure out and to learn exactly how you wanna spend that time. We have been scheduled a lot of our lives, and we've gotten used to having someone else tell us what to do. Like, it just feels natural and normal, so that by the time we're experiencing living life on our own terms, it genuinely feels foreign. That's how bad it is that living life on your own terms feels foreign to you. And it's not a thing to judge or shame or to get anxious or scared about. Of course, you're doing something new, and so you don't know what you're doing, and so you're gonna need some time to figure it out, all right? So give yourself a break. It's not the end of the world that you wake up in the morning and you have the whole day ahead of you and you're like, what am I gonna do? It's cool, you're gonna figure it out, okay? Like, you got time. If nothing else, you got time. My second piece of advice would be to resist the urge to stay super busy. I actually learned that it's harder for your body, if you're used to being in a constant state of stress, it's actually harder for your body to then down-regulate. Like, that feels uncomfortable and almost painful to down-regulate than it would be to just like stay at that same level of stress because your body's just used to it now. And so recognize that it's not gonna be comfortable at first. It's so strange, but rest is not going to feel comfortable at first, and that's okay, and that's a part of it, but give yourself that time to rest. In my last video, I talked about judgment, about the different ways these saboteurs come into your life that work with this main judge voice to kind of keep you down, essentially. There's like controller, and there's pleaser, and there's achiever, and all these ones. One I didn't mention is actually restless. So it's the part of you that's like,
we gotta stay busy, we gotta do something else, we gotta always keep in action, we always keep moving.
And it's that voice that's saying, if you stop and stand still and rest, bad things are gonna happen. And I feel like that's a perfect example of why those saboteur voices are not in your best interest, because does that even make sense that resting would be bad? Like, you are alive, you are a human being. Your body has seasons, it needs rest, it needs recovery to integrate what we're learning, then we can expand and grow from there. And the fact that there's a part of you that's saying like, no, you can't afford to rest, that is, I mean, it's trauma, that's a whole separate thing. But that is a fear voice to be ignored, and it will take practice, as we said. Another thing related to rest is, I listened to this Brene Brown podcast like a year ago when I was quitting my job, and she was talking about burnout. She gave an example of folks doing their PhD program, spending years and years and years doing this really intense program, and they think, oh, once I turn my thesis in or whatever, the doctoral program ends, I'm gonna go on a vacation, I'll be living my best life. And actually what they find is as soon as they are done, their body collapses, it shuts down, they get sick, something happens, because they have been ignoring the signals their body has been sending them for so long that by the time they're finally ready to pay attention, the body has nothing left. And so the process of rebuilding from that burnout, it takes a while. I'd say for me, it truly has taken this entire year. And I kept thinking after the first few weeks, I was like, okay, great. I've rested for a few weeks. What else do I need to do? After the first 3 months, I was like, it's been 3 months. I'm good, you know? This is after 3.5 years of being basically in a chronic state of burnout, right? And so it took me truly, I think, this full year. And I'm pretty sure I'm back. I feel like I'm being very productive. I feel very engaged. I feel rested, but I wouldn't be surprised if something happens because I literally just finished having a cold. And if you see me cough, you know, I'm not gonna include my coughs in here. Though I did just do an Instagram live. I went live on Instagram for the very first time. I'm gonna keep experimenting with going live on Instagram and live on YouTube here as well. I did a poll and y'all voted for weekly on Saturdays. Or you voted for weekly and I did a Patreon poll to figure out what day and they said Saturdays. So that's what I'm gonna aspire to do, but I'm gonna ease into it versus trying to implement it right away because I've learned my lesson about trying to do too much. All right, I'm honoring my body's nervous system. But in that IG live, because I'd already promised that I was gonna do it, I felt compelled to do it anyway. And y'all, I had this cold. I had that cold for a lot of reasons, and I think one of them was that I really needed to spend more time resting. I was in this new city, I was doing too much, and I needed to chill out, you know? And during that live, I did take the time I needed to cough my phlegm into a bucket, and I don't regret that, you know? So go ahead and watch that live. Also, we talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once, one of the best movies of all time ever. Back to that point about rest. A lot of the ideas and lessons that we have around all of life, and especially things like work, is tied to what we saw with our parents. And I know for me, I saw my parents working very, very, very hard. They pushed themselves. I'm a child of immigrant parents, you know, so they really did a lot of work to create the life that I'm not able to have where I make YouTube videos. Though I had someone wonderfully speak over my life and she referenced the work I create in the world as doing talk. She was like, you know, in your next talk, you should X, Y, Z. And I was like,
I guess I am truly a speaker and I give talks.
So the life that I get to have where I'm a speaker for a living and I get to share, you know, the wisdom that the Lord downloads with all of y'all, and y'all are, you know, appreciative and welcoming of it. It required a lot of work from my parents, which I recognize and I appreciate. It was through them, both explicitly and implicitly, that I learned how important hard work is and how important it is to work hard, even if your body and your nervous system is actually saying, no, we really would need to chill. I think there's two things to consider when you are getting advice from people, from anyone. One is, are they actually embodying what they're saying in their day-to-day life? Is it clear that they are showing up in the way that they talk about? Are they walking their talk, practicing what they preach, all that, right? And then beyond that, is their embodiment actually something that you admire and want for yourself? Because if they're saying, hey, this is how you should do it, and you see them doing it, when you see their life and what that feels like, is that something you want for yourself? Because ultimately, while I deeply admire what my parents did and how hard they worked, and I'm so grateful for it, I don't actually want that for myself. Like, I am not interested in having a life where I work that hard and sacrifice that much. It's not important to me in the same way. And so given the circumstances I am now in, I am now making different choices. You know what your circumstances are. Do you feel as if you are living in a way that actually makes sense to you? And are you actually taking the responsibility? Because if you're only endlessly saying, well, my external circumstances don't support the life I want to have, you'll never have the life you want to have. It's an endless game trying to change the outside. My understanding is the only real change happens in here, and then it ripples outwards. So my fourth tip for you is to actually feel into what it is that you want to be doing. You're probably watching this video because you're like, Chimbi, if I knew what I wanted to be doing, I wouldn't need help on the internet. And that is very valid, right? I was watching this video from this guy who channels an extraterrestrial, because that's where I'm at in my spiritual journey, y'all. I'm watching all types of wild shit. And this man was essentially saying that you have this higher self, the version of you who like knows the best, most beautiful, like greatest, most joyful, happiest life that you can live, right? And it wants that for you, because that's what we all want, is to live this dope ass life. And it will give you signals of like, hey, when you're in this situation, this is what you should do, this is what you should say, and that's gonna get you closer and closer and closer to living this incredible, beautiful life. And the thing is, we then have to act. So many of us have been trained out of acting on those signals, so that when it comes time to then make a life that we want to live, we're hearing these signals, if we can hear them at all. Maybe it's so faint because we're so used to ignoring it that it's barely a whisper. And then once we even hear it, we're too scared to act. An example from my life is this dope ass cut. It's growing out from like the super low blonde, and I'm enjoying every stage of the growth. I think I'm gonna like dye it again blonde, but I'm really enjoying this. I had the impulse to shave my head easily 5-6 years ago, like a long time ago. ago. And I remember talking to my dad and referencing, like, oh, I think I'm gonna like do my hair in a shortcut. And he was like, I think that'll be too masculine of a look for you. I did not ask for this advice. He offered that to me. Love that. And I embodied it and I took it, and years went by and I didn't cut my hair because I was scared of how it would look. And obviously, finally, a year ago, unsurprisingly, I finally did it and I cut my hair, and here we are, and I look so fucking good. It's actually crazy. It's crazy that I didn't do this sooner, you know, and no one won, no one benefited. I mean, I made some dope hair tutorials. Go ahead and watch them if you want to see young Chimdi showing up very differently here on YouTube. I actually just did a podcast. It was with Call on Courage, and the host mentioned she went into the archives and she watched some of those earlier hair tutorials, and she was like,
you show up so much differently.
And we had a whole conversation about it. So check out that podcast. But yeah, so I had to learn, as we all do, to practice listening to that voice, my own intuition, and actually acting on it. You know, I offer coaching and I offer one-on-one support if you have questions and if you want that support and encouragement. But does it actually make sense that I would know better than you would know about how to live your own life? Who am I to know more than you? And that's why the coaching that I do and the Q&As, the style that I do it in, it's very much around powerful questioning. It's about really holding space and creating a container and asking you the questions that I genuinely believe you have the answers to and that you are fully equipped to act on. Like, I fully believe every person has everything they need, and it's just a matter of like admitting it to yourself and having someone lovingly be like, yeah. When you're doubting yourself, I'm like, you know, I don't doubt you. I have no doubt in what you're capable of. And then the final piece of advice that I would give you, young Chimdi, but also all of you out there, is to surround yourself with people who do believe in you. In the same way that I believe in your innate knowing, and your innate ability, and your innate talent, and your innate skill, and your innate love and worthiness, you need to have people in your life who also do the same. So that can be me through coaching and support and all that. It can also be getting some new friends. It can be choosing a new family. Listen, we love a birth family and we love a chosen family. And it needs to be people who are living life the way you want to be living it, who believe in what's possible the way you do. Because if you're surrounded in every corner and every side by people who are living life the old way, the way that doesn't resonate with you, who are in lives where they feel trapped, where they don't see a way out, where they are overwhelmed, and you don't have any sort of ray of light at any point showing you a different path and showing you like, yes, it is fully possible, what you're doing isn't crazy, it's going to be really easy and be really tempting to fall back into that old life because you're used to doing it for so long. The grooves in your brain, those neural pathways, those connections, they're dug in deep. So it's going to be very easy to fall back into that. You really need people. You need a surrounding, you need a network of people who are on the same wavelength as you. And ideally, of course, a little bit higher, so that you're kind of constantly elevating. So just take a look around, you know. Feel free to drop it in the comment section if you, your friends and family don't be reading my comment section. Because I've had people tell me like, girl, I'll just hop into your comment section and just read it. And speaking of the communities, it doesn't need to necessarily only be in real life. It can be virtual communities. I joined the Adobe Creator Camp community. It can be our comment section. I still leave a comment in the video I made. That was like my 1 year follow-up video. I asked folks to leave their questions and someone was like, anyone else just using the comment section as like a support group? You know, find your community wherever you need to find it. Just make sure that you are being seen, you are being welcomed, and people are seeing and recognizing that you can totally live the life that you want to live. You can spend your time however you want to spend it, and you are fully equipped and fully capable of figuring out how that is for yourself. For the people who are using my comment section as a support group, let me know in the comments, if you've quit your job, how did you spend your time? How was that process of figuring out how to spend your time? How did that go for you? What did you learn? What were your challenges? And what advice would you give to your younger self, or to young Chimdi, or to the people who are watching quietly and listening and not commenting because they may be a little scared? Because there are people lurking and they need all of our help. And I love you, lurkers. Y'all are my favorite, because leave a comment, but I appreciate y'all too. And like I said, if you want someone to support you and give you that more specific and tailored advice and guidance and questioning and encouragement and accountability and all that, then you can go ahead and look below and sign up for a one-on-one coaching consult, Q&A call. If you are on the Patreon, you get a whole extra hour free of coaching when you sign up. Let me know in the comments how y'all are doing. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to see more. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you next time. Bye.